The Idries Shah Foundation podcast. Practical psychology for today. Featuring the works of Idries Shah, narrated by David Ault. Welcome to the Idries Shah Foundation podcast. In this edition of the podcast, we will hear selections from The Secret Law of Magic by Idries Shah. This audio is made available by the Idries Shah Foundation. The Miraculous Medallions. These are the talismans through which almost anything, according to the Key of Solomon, can be accomplished. They are referred to in most texts as the planetary pentacles, though here I have adhered to one reading as medallions, in order to avoid confusion with those pentacles which are the ordinary shields against the evil of spirits, whose manufacture is described separately in the Key. These talismans share with the common or garden pentacle the ability to cause fear among spirits. In addition, however, they cause the spirits of the planets which they represent to obey the operator in every way, and thus would be of service to any aspiring magician. Wherever you go, says our author, providing that you have them with you, you will be completely secure for your whole life. Frequently referred to by occultist writers are the terrible dangers attendant upon the raising of spirits. These spirits answer by false names, misleading the operator. They may succeed, for they try hard enough, in luring the magus or a disciple out of the protecting precincts of the circle. In this case, death has generally resulted. Reading the assurances under the heading of these miraculous medallions, however, one is almost tempted to think that this is the complete answer. When commanded by the power of the medallions, all spirits will obey at once and without danger. If these talismans are made and carried, you will be liked by all. Fire and water will be overcome by them, and every created thing will fear the names upon them and be obedient to you. Since all magic involves the acquisition of power in one form or another, one could say that the pentacle talismans of Solomon alone are worth any sorcerer's trouble in making. And the making, it is true, does involve some little labour. They are to be preferably in metal, but they can be on parchment. The metal is that which is associated with whichever of the 7 planets the medallion refers to. The metal itself, of course, must be purified by fire, and the characters which are to be seen in the illustrations are engraved thereon with the needle of the art, a never-before-used, exorcised needle. The pentacle of Saturn is of lead, of Jupiter tin, Mars of iron, that of the Sun is of gold, Venus copper, and the Moon of silver. The medallion dedicated to the planet Mercury, commanding all the spirits thereof, is variously stated to be of a silver-gold alloy, or a mixture of various metals, unspecified. If they are instead of metal made in paper, the correspondence of planets and colours is to be observed. Hence, the consecrated virgin parchment is to have its designs inscribed thus: Saturn black, Jupiter azure blue, Mars red, Sun gold or yellow, Venus green, Mercury mixed, Moon silver or white grey. Would-be sorcerers will be relieved to learn that size is of no importance if all the other requirements are fulfilled. The section on the making of these items ends with the usual cautions that all the things which are customary, doing things in the right planetary hour and day and so on, must be observed, and that the names which are used, being holy, are to be concentrated upon and not treated frivolously. Solomon winds up this chapter in some versions with terrible curses upon those who may profane these rites, and those who, for example, take the name of God in vain. Of the Pentacles for compelling spirits. The first medallion is one dedicated to the sun. Its powers are all things connected with honor, glory, and kingly power. This talisman is also used in rites intended to inflict loss on others. The second talisman is likewise under the sun, and its province is to release magically anyone imprisoned. If anyone is by chance imprisoned and held with iron chains, he shall at once be freed, if this pentacle is presented, engraved in gold on the day and at the hour of the sun. According to manuscript number 2497 of the Paris Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal, Les Vrais Talismans, the inscription within the outer ring reads, Dirupsiti vincula mea, tibi sacrificabo hostiam laudis et nomen invocabo. This seems to be Psalm 116. Thou hast loosed my bonds. I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call upon the name of the Lord. All created things come under the powerful talisman, the face of Shaddai. Confronted with it, engraved on the metal of the sun, in the hour and on the day of the luminary, every created being, whether corporate or not, must obey. On the right is written in Hebrew characters the name of God, El. On the left, another name of the divinity, Shaddai. Around the circle is written, Ecce faciem et figuram eos per quem omnia facta et cui omnes obediunt creatur. The next solar pentacle calls spirits to carry the sorcerer to whatever place he may desire to go, at once. Around the circle is to be written an extract from Psalm 91, verses 11 and 12. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands. Nearly all the Solomonic talismans contain quotations from the Psalms of David, and it is the opinion of traditional mages that the Book of Psalms itself is a sort of collection of magical incantations with a hidden as well as obvious power. The next pentacle of the sun confers invisibility and bears within the twin circles this inscription: Let their eyes be darkened that they see not, and make their loins continually to shake. From Psalm 69, verse 23. One of the difficulties facing any conjurer of spirits seems to be that when the demons come, they will not always immediately manifest themselves, for some reason, in a visible form before him. This next sun talisman is expressly designed to ensure the appearance of the spirits when it is uncovered in their presence. Around the circle is to be written, Lighten mine eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest mine enemy say, I have prevailed against him. This is, of course, from the 13th Psalm. The next and last sun talisman is another pentacle of power. The next pentacle of Solomon is that of Venus, and serves to control the spirits of that planet. It will produce grace and honor, and by its aid every art appertaining to the powers of Venus can be exercised. Around the medallion are written the name of the angels Nogahiel, Akelia, Sokohia, and Nangariel. Operations under Venus involving matters of love are carried out with the aid of another Venusian pentacle. It takes the form of a 5-pointed star within 2 concentric circles. The inscription is, appropriately enough, Place me as a signet upon thy heart, as a signet upon thine arm, for love is as strong as death. From Canticles chapter 8, verse 6. Within and around the pentagram there are certain signs which are almost unintelligible in the manuscripts. Probably these are attempts by unlettered copyists to reproduce Hebrew letters. Love can be caused in a person of one's choice by merely displaying the next pentacle, in which is written a Latin quotation from Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. Benedixetque ielis Deus, et eit crescite, et mueti pluamini, et replete terram. Angelic and divine names complete the figure. Any woman's love can be compelled in a moment by the use of another pentacle of Venus, given in manuscript number 2348, Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal in Paris. Within the outer circles is written another verse from the book of Genesis. This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and they shall be one flesh. The spirits of Mercury may be invoked and compelled with the next powerful Solomonic pentacle. All operations connected with the reputed powers of this star are carried out when this talisman is shown. Those who have business coming within the purview of the moon on hand should make use of the following pentacle, that of the moon. It not only calls spirits who come under this planet, but also opens all doors, no matter how they may be closed. Psalm 107, verse 16 is written upon it. He hath broken the gates of brass, and cut the bars of iron in sunder. Like the other talismans, this too has its quota of divine and angelic names. Spirits of Saturn are conjured and compelled to obedience by means of the first pentacle of this planet. When it is shown to them, they yield and kneel in submission. The square carries various divine names. Another Saturnian pentacle, with an extract from Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 17, is also given here. With its aid, one may carry out any process under the influence of Saturn. Those who, operating under Saturn, desire to cause a person to be possessed by devils could make use of the following figure. It contains written thereupon a powerful curse. Set thou a wicked one to be ruler over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. Do you wish to cause earthquakes? The power of the next Saturnian talisman causes all creation to shake, through the force of the angels which it commands, if the talisman be properly made, like the other medallions, during the hours and day of the planet and in its metal. All operations of destruction, disruption, and death should be carried out when the operator is in possession of another pentacle or talisman of Solomon, again under Saturn, and prepared in strict accordance with the requirements of occult manufacture. Within the usual twin circles are the words, "As he clothed himself with cursing like as with a garment, so let it come into his bowels like water, and like oil into his bones." There is also the six-sided star of David here. Within the rings comes a triangle containing another circle decorated with the mystical letter Yod in the Hebrew tongue. Then, beside the sides of the triangle, come words from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." Saturn being such a malevolent planet, it is perhaps hardly surprising that there is a special pentacle devoted to protecting the operator against death on Saturday, his day. An 8-pointed figure decorates the center of our illustration, with magical inscriptions within the circles. Another Saturn talisman is used against arrogance on the part of spirits, and also against all opponents. The figure consists of a magical square with the words Sator arepo tenet opera rotas inscribed therein. The formula is Psalm 72, verse 8. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. When the spirits of Saturn are called at night, the next talisman is to be written outside the magical circle of evocation. In addition to containing 8 Kabbalistical signs, the concentric circles contain the names of 4 important angels: Anazakia, Omelie, Anakiel, and Araukia. The next talisman is of greater than ordinary interest, because we have an historical instance of its use by a well-known figure. It carries the inscription, "Wealth and riches shall be in this house, and his righteousness endureth for ever." Psalm 112, verse 3. This Solomonic talisman of Jupiter was found inscribed on a piece of parchment on the body of Count Anselm, who became Bishop of Würzburg on the night of the 9th of February 1449. It has been said, of course, that this was the powerful talisman which caused him to rise to such heights and to gain wealth and power, as well as evading all traps of his many enemies. Another talisman of Jupiter, however, not only calls spirits, but protects the owner and forces the complete submission and active obedience of all demons. In addition to the names of God ADNI and IHVH and signs of the spirits, the inscription is from Psalm 125. They that trust in Jehovah shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth for ever. Those who wish never to be poor, or who are poor and think that they should be rich, are advised by the writers of the Key of Solomon to resort to the next talisman, ascribed to Jupiter, and to be made in accordance with the colours, metal, and so forth of his day and hour. The medallion or charm written on parchment, as the case may be, is to be taken out and frequently looked upon. Then these words which appear upon it are to be recited. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth the needy out of the dunghill, that he may set them with princes, even with the princes of his people. Psalm 113, verses 7 and 8. Those who seek to call the spirits of Jupiter for the purpose of finding treasure could do worse, we are told, than use the next talisman. The magical words are Netoniel, Derachia, Sedechia, and Paraziel. When the planet Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer, the crab, anyone with a piece of silver could pave the way to untold wealth by drawing the next figure on his silver in the day and hour of Jupiter. He should, of course, not omit the quotation from Psalm 112, verse 3, "Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth for ever." Of the 2 remaining pentacles of Jupiter, the first is for seeing visions. By its aid, we are informed, Jacob saw the ladder to heaven. Some readers may think that they prefer the more solid advantages of the last pentacle of Jupiter. He who carries it about him, looking at it every day, will not be able to die. It contains the lines from Psalm 22, verse 16 and 17. They pierced my hands and my feet, I may tell all my bones. To produce war, as might be expected, one would need the medallion of Mars. In addition to this useful power, the figure can destroy enemies and will terrify spirits if presented to them. It consists of 1 triangle within a circle, divided again into 4 triangles. The words are from Psalm 77, verse 13. Who is so great a God as our Elohim? And certain Hebrew letters. Having started a war, it would presumably be necessary to ensure victory. This can be done with the next pentacle. It is a cross within a double circle, with the letters for the divine names of power arranged therein. The quotation is, "The Lord at thy right hand shall strike even kings in the day of his wrath." Psalm 110, verse 5. If you are faced with demons, you can compel them to do anything if you only carry with you this figure of Mars written on virgin parchment. It consists of a scorpion, the conventional sign for the Scorpio of the zodiac, which comes under Mars, and the words, "Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet." Psalm 91, verse 13. Then comes a Martian talisman for invincibility against all attack, and to turn the arms of enemies against them. In Latin, the inscription is from Psalm 37, verse 15. "Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken." It may, however, be necessary to call the spirits of Mars to the invocant's circle. In order to do this, he must display the next pentacle of Mars, upon which is written this: Eschiel, Ithoriel, Nadamiel, Bazakia. Write an 8-sided star on virgin parchment with the blood of a bat, directs Solomon's key. It is to be kept covered until the circle until needed. When it is brought out, it will cause hail and tempests by invoking the demons which control these phenomena. In the circle is written this, from Psalm 105, verses 32 and 33. He gave them hail for rain, and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also, and their fig trees. The last pentacle of Mars is used against all diseases, and cures them when it is held to the affected part. The quotation is from John chapter 1, verse 4. "In him was life, and the life was the light of men." This podcast is copyright 2018, the Idries Shah Foundation.